Pokemon need a big rework. Pokemon have a lot of things that need to be changed or reworked. From bad shinies to evolution levels that are absolutely insane. What do you mean I have to wait for level 50 to evolve a Pokemon? And with Gen 10 coming up, I feel like it's perfect to have a big rework after. Or Gen 11. Generation 11 could start off in a similar way to Generation 5 with only new Pokemons at first. At least not until the post-game. And at the same time, they could change a lot of stuff. And this also works with Pokemon Champions. Because that means that suddenly everything won't be changed. Instead, people can get used to it in the new generation, Generation 11 then. And then after the next Worlds, it would change in Pokemon Champions as well. And everyone would be informed about the changes and everything. But what needs to change? And what do I want to change? Of course we need better shinies. And I'm not talking about the shinies that are ugly. Because those are still good shinies. Shinies doesn't have to look good, it just have to be obvious that it is a shiny. There should be someone who's seen a Pokemon once, and then a little bit later sees the shiny form and know that that is a shiny. Because what are some of these shinies? What do you mean there are shinies that almost don't change color at all? Like come on, you can try a little bit better. Like look at Panda Mouse and Mousehold. Genuinely some of the worst shinies, but not only that, it's almost impossible to see it because it's so tiny. They could have made them black, they could have made them red, they could have made them yellow, like any other color. They could have also made the thing that they've changed a clear change, like a clear color. Not almost the same. If it was black or red, it would be obvious that that one was shiny. And generally the worst shiny ever is Wormadam. Can you even tell which one is the real and which one is the shiny? Like sure, you can see a difference on them when you look at them. If you saw the shiny in front of you, you would not know that that was a shiny. And I bet you don't even know the shiny right now. So I really don't like when people complain about bad looking shinies. Because the true bad shinies that of course many people complain about are the shinies that you can't even see the change of. But the green shinies aren't that ugly or bad. They don't need to be changed, not yet at least. But at least make every single Pokemon have a shiny that is obvious. They have changed this before, so they can change it again. But okay, that is something that doesn't really affect anything gameplay wise. But something else that I feel like should be changed is of course evolution methods. Pokemon have had so many problems with Pokemons evolving way too late. I want them to change evolution levels. They could also change some other difficult, annoying, stupid evolution methods, like trading and trading with an item. Don't make it impossible to get Pokemons that you have to trade. Especially the ones with an item, because that is so annoying. And usually you can only easily get one of those items. I would rather have more interesting evolutions. And sure, we could have the trade evolutions, but no more trade with items. I think they could also change some Pokemons that have friendship evolutions and some item evolutions. They could also add on a level there, so we could have like high friendship at level 20 as an evolution. I would like more of that, for example, and the same goes for items. I do also like the idea with Galarian Yawma's evolution method, but it's a little bit too difficult. So do something similar but easier, and something we'll learn in the game. And I understand they could do that to future Pokemons, but I would also like all of this to change on some already existing Pokemons to make some of them easier and make more sense. But the most important thing is to change the level that some Pokemon evolve. Because what do you mean some Pokemon evolve extremely late? Larvesta evolves so late and it's quite a weak Pokemon. It should evolve way earlier. And they should just change all of that so it's not so late. I think every Pokemon should be fully evolved at level 40, 45. Something like that. 45 feels perfect. At least every single Pokemon should be fully evolved at the Elite 4 level. And don't make Pokemon who are bad evolve at level 50. Make it like level 20, 25, something like that. Pseudo Legendaries at level 45 to the final stage is fine. But later than that, no. So changing some evolution methods would be really nice, and specifically the level up ones. So reworking evolution methods, and specifically the levels of the level up evolutions. I have a take that I don't think a lot of people agree with, and that is that I think every Pokemon that is fully evolved should at least have 480 base stat total, or something around there. Maybe not some Pokemon that have specific gimmicks and abilities to them, like Smeargle and Shedinja. But other than that, I feel like every single Pokemon should have a base stat total above 480. But what I really want is some Pokemon to have better stats. And not just better stats, just stats that make more sense and better stats spread. That is something I think they need to rework. Because why is Vikavolt so slow? And why are some Pokemon so weak even though they should be stronger? Like especially Gen 5 Pokemons. Because why is like Garbodor under 480? That guy should be 500 or something. I feel like there's a lot of Pokemon that need to be fixed like that. I feel like most 3-stage Pokemon should be over 500, but also just have a better stat spread. And I'm not saying every single Pokemon needs to be good, but at least good enough to be used during the whole playthrough. And sure, you could still do that, but what if you want to use Warthog during the entire playthrough? I think it should be okay to use a Pokemon through the entire game without being punished because it's too weak. And if they change the evolution level, you can make it so Pokemon aren't fully evolved too early. They could also just add an in-game thing that if Pokemon are lower level and they are fully evolved, they would just get weaker compared to Pokemon that are worse and not fully evolved. Obviously, they wouldn't be weaker, but they wouldn't be way stronger. So for example, we said at level 50 is where they are their exact strength that we see. And then at level 15, a Beedrill versus a Weedle wouldn't be as big as of a difference of a Beedrill in level 50 and a Weedle at level 50. I think they could do something like that to make it more fair, but still make the evolved Pokemon a little stronger. There are a lot of Pokemons that have really stupid moveset. Some Pokemons need better moves both to their stats, but also better moves for coverage and for their own type. And I think they could fix that as well. That's a very simple one, but just make Pokemon learn more moves and different moves that makes them better and that makes sense for the Pokemon and that gives coverage for the Pokemon. I also think moves should change. Effects, physical, special, make some of them better, some of them worse, because I feel like there are a lot of moves that could have some changes to them. They have done a little bit of these changes, for example like Dire Claw in Pokemon Champions, but I think they need to go through every single move and do this to a lot of them. Something that I will talk a little bit more later is that I also think there should be more subgroups for moves, like the sound-based moves, punching moves, contact moves, all of that. If you watched this far, please feel free to like and subscribe. It helps a ton. I'm either at 200 or right at 200 subscribers when you're watching this video, so I'm very thankful for that. Also join my Discord server in the bio. Another simple one is changing abilities on Pokemons and changing abilities. Like make Pokemon have better abilities, not Pokemons that only have abilities that are useless in battle. I think it's good that some Pokemons have those type of abilities to be able to help during a playthrough, but I think you should be able to change every single Pokemon to have an ability that will help somewhat in a battle. Also change some moves on Pokemons like flying type Rotom. That Rotom does not need levitate. That's another thing where Pokemon should change what abilities they have. And there are other examples with Pokemons that have useless abilities. Like the ability Klutz, we don't need it, it's basically worthless. And sure, there are Pokemons that are strong that could use abilities like this, but there are so many Pokemons that learn this ability that aren't that good, like Slacking for example. And there are also abilities that does really similar things, like Battle Armor and Shell Armor, and I think that needs a rework. So we don't have abilities that are worthless to some Pokemons, and some abilities that just does the same thing, and just makes some abilities better. There's so many Pokemons without or with typings that doesn't really make sense. Like give Golduck Psychic. Why is Golduck not Psychic type? This is something I think needs to be reworked. As well as changing Pokemon's typings. Like why is Runerigus Ground Ghost and not Rock Ghost? There are plenty of Pokemons like this that don't have a typing or have two typings with one typing that doesn't make sense. And that definitely needs to be reworked. A big Pokemon rework would be perfect for this. But for the most interesting one, I think types should change how they interact with other types. I feel like there are some type interactions that doesn't really make sense that could be changed, but that's not the main thing that I want to talk about. And this does have to do with what I talked about before, with moves having more subgroups. I want, for example, ground and flying to interact differently, and I don't want flying to be immune to ground. And this change would especially work for Pokemon games like Legends CA. and this might be too much for Pokemon Champions and the competitive game. But for example, Mudshot should be able to hit a flying type, but Earthquake shouldn't. So if we make more move subgroups, we could make these two different moves not or be able to hit flying or levitate Pokemons. And I think there could be plenty of more subgroups and type interactions like this. I would love this, it would make so much sense. But also on this, make some types just a little bit better, like Ice. Ice is really bad right now, so I think Ice could get better. Like, make it resist more typings. But I really do think that it would be so cool if we had more subgroups, with a subgroup that is a grounded move that can't hit flying or levitated Pokemons. And maybe you can even add even more interesting subgroups that can't hit some other typings, or only has a certain amount of percentage to hit a certain type. I would also like this, because then you can give a subgroup to normal type moves that are, for example, beam moves, like Hyper Beam. And you could make these moves be able to hit ghost types, for example. And then there could be subgroups of moves that can't hit ghost types. And not just punching moves, but specifically moves that are used with just your physical body and not just contact moves. A rework to all of this could make so much sense, it could fix so many interactions and could make it way more interesting. This could also work the other way around, where some subgroups of moves could hit some types for super effective. I think that would be so cool, and we could have way more interesting interactions. But that is the reworks that I think Pokemon need. I think it would be perfect, because it could make the game more interesting and better in a lot of ways. Please tell me in the comments if you agree with this, and let me know reworks that you think Pokemon needs. I really think it would be perfect if they did this in Generation 11. I would absolutely love to see it. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe, join my Discord server, and follow me on Twitch. Links to that are in the bio. If you want to see more of me, I have a video right here about Titan Pokemons from Generation 9, but in every single region. So feel free to check that video out, and I hope to see you there or in another video. So thank you for watching, I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your night, day, morning, or wherever. Peace out, and don't forget to follow.